All right, thanks everyone for joining this morning to the breakout room 2 about EcoWeek. I'm just going to do a quick introduction of Charlotte Milan, who is our recycling coordinator for the town of Arlington, and she's been organizing EcoWeek for the last 3 or 4 years. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and take it away.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. I do work for the town of Arlington as the recycling coordinator at the Department of Public Works. And one thing I love about working in our community is that having done this for 10 years now, I've learned so much about the different, all the different kinds of projects that go on at the local level. And after hearing Senator Barrett give us the global and the state perspective, boy, it really does show me that anything we can do around transportation and buildings in our communities is super important, particular to Massachusetts. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. I do have that's not the right screen though. Sorry, 1 second. Let me make sure I get the right screen up. Great. So I put together some mostly pictures for you as I describe a little bit about how to get going with EcoWeek. EcoWeek actually started out as EcoFest, which grew from which grew from a one-day event at Town Hall. We have a beautiful historic Town Hall in Arlington, and it was started out by the Garden Club and the Planning Department. So one volunteer organization and nonprofit, and one municipal department. And it brought together nonprofits like Boston Area Gleaners, important institutions like our libraries and the Friends of Libraries, local businesses and nonprofits and farms like Right Lock Farm, and then planning department issues such as this is an open space planning map you'll see in the middle there. And we even had the health department come and talk about the fact that chickens were now going to be permitted in town and what that means. So it was a fabulous one-day, very intense activity that took months of planning. And after the first year or so, in addition to the Garden Club and the Planning Department, the Department of Public Works and Sustainable Arlington were invited to help organize this. And it was really a great event. However, it was held in early March. And so we had the use of the town hall parking lot. So we did do a little electric vehicle showing off as the years went by. We moved beyond sort of a lot of plant and open space themes to carbon footprint reduction themes and energy related themes. And we would include a speaker, and we would include a children's musician. And that way we were able to sort of address a lot of the priorities of Sustainable Arlington, for example, but also the planning department and even Public Works. We involved the schools who were more likely to pull in zero waste activities. And up in the top left corner, you'll see our tree warden there. So the advantage to this was that it was, we could involve a lot of employees. It was very easy for an employee just to take one Saturday and come out and have a table at our town hall. And it was an exciting atmosphere. But March weather sometimes threatened our ability to be outdoors at all, or people didn't want to leave their house in March. And it wasn't really quite spring. So it didn't really count as our town's tribute to Earth Day. So a few years ago, we decided to think about bringing the event outdoors, bringing it a little bit later in the year, and seeing what we could add. And the organizing theory here is that basically local communities already have priorities. And by marketing an event, pulling things together, you can amplify and build on those messages. So here, the first year of EcoWeek, you can see the top pictures of these are parents gardening at one of our elementary schools. We were really able to be out in the different parts of the community where there was exciting things happening. There's a litter cleanup in the top hand right there, which involved our conservation agent and our environmental planner. We brought a reuse activity that included a film as well as a little mini house and a truck, so we could start to talk about waste reduction and give people these small tours or tours in their community to be able to start to bring it home to their own backyards or to the local parks or schools where they spend a lot of time. The bottom right there is a great presentation at our local library. We went to the community room at the library to talk about some sustainable food activities. So then the next year brought us all indoors, and we had to shift our focus to our EcoWeek at home. But this helps us develop our thinking about this. What can you reasonably do on a screen? And luckily, we've had an opt-up to 100% community electricity campaign going for years now, and that was a great thing to be able to bring to the public online. We were able to do some stormwater education with great slides. Even our animal control officer, we're talking about alpha predators and the importance of not using rodenticides because they threaten our alpha predators. It was a fabulous topic. Kids, everyone loves our wild animals, especially our owls and our hawks and eagles and things. So we were able to really think through a wide variety of activities that would engage more people. And by putting everything out on the town's website, because the town is such an important partner, then different departments could cross-pollinate and see their priorities on sort of advertised together with EcoWeek and this sort of welcoming of spring. The bottom right hand, this is an image by a middle school student at the time. Middle schoolers ended up creating a podcast series about environmental topics, something they could easily do from home and easily share with the public that we were able to put on the town's website. Then we had to go with a hybrid model. This is for last year. And we looked for new partnerships. We looked for ways to continue to make this a low lift for town employees, but engage the highest number of existing activities or town priorities. And that's what I really want to leave you with, is that the town has, or your community, your city, already has priorities, whether it's local legislation that you're trying to pass or programs like 100% renewable electricity that you want residents to be aware of. And by packaging things together and sending out numerous emails, you're helping bring people's attention. It doesn't necessarily result in high attendance at each event, but you're really allowing the public to see the variety of what is out there in their community. So we've showed a great movie called Microplastic Madness. Obviously, plastics in our environment are something that really heats people up. They really want to see some change, and not all that change can happen at the municipal level, but it's something that people can organize themselves around. And when they start to hear about how plastics are mostly made from fossil fuels, and they can relate the litter they see around that irritates them to this overuse of plastic, and then from there to learning more about fossil fuels in general and the subsidies that the industry benefits from, it can help relate their individual at-home irritations to broader priorities that your community or your nonprofit or your community group have. We also have some low impact design going on in some of our parks. This is a flood in the bottom right there, a flood prevention project in one of our parks that was being built. So our planning department staff could go out and do a tour of that and get people outdoors. And this was, of course, during a time when not very many people wanted to leave the house. Sustainable Arlington sponsored a video contest asking residents to give us all some reasons why they love their green ride. So we had submissions about bikes and about electric vehicles. And then in the top right, this is a public art project. Public art ends up being really a fabulous partner for municipal partnership around climate education, helping get people to the feelings of what they're experiencing in their environment. And this plastic installation was called Persistence. It still lives out on the bike path near Spy Pond. It will be taken down this year. So in anticipation of what's happening for 2022, we're really going to hit some hot topics. These are the things that we find that people care about. So more of the plastics in the environment that people really get agitated about. We're also going to be talking about biodiversity, which is something that the Mystic Charles Pollinator Project cares a lot about. What we have invasive plant removers that are passionate about removing plants. We want to bring them together with the people who care about planting native species. And then we also, obviously, according to Senator Barrett, we really need to continue to work on our transportation emissions. So I'm really glad that we found a new bike partner. Running a bike collection event is really a simple undertaking. It's something that's not a heavy lift. And our police department bike unit is going to attend. They're going to do some bike safety at that event. We're going to have scouts helping collect the bikes. So we're really capitalizing on the volunteer energy, community service hours that our students need or want. The top two photos there are about a Fix-It Clinic, which we're going to reintroduce live and in person. If you don't know what a Fix-It Clinic is, you can check them out on Facebook and online. It's a great activity. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Our event, just so you know, is beyond a week now. We've gone 10 days, April 26th to May 10th. It's very hard to limit these things, even if you call it EcoWeek. In fact, what we might end up doing is rebranding it next year, so we remove the term week. But I know that in talking with Tom in preparation for this, some of the questions that came up were, how do you publicize this? And I have to say that as an environmental organization, if you are partnering with your local government and some nonprofits, you really have this fabulous amplification opportunity to spread your word on, for example, your land trust lists or your sustainable listservs, your zero waste listservs. When you provide a menu of activities, you're really meeting your residents where they're at. Some care mostly about emissions. Some really want to do something at home. Some people are waiting, salivating to get an electric car. The EcoWeek idea is about sort of providing just a wide menu of things to help bring people into the conversation to feel like they're doing their part. Not everyone has the means or the interest or even a property that they own to be able to install heat pumps. But everybody hates litter, pretty much everybody hates litter. And that is a great place to bring people in, to get them outdoors and excited. So I don't know how much more time I have. I want to make sure we have time for questions. So I'll just leave you with the challenges with any kind of community event in the spring is that the nice thing about having the March event for EcoFest was that in March, there's very little competition. Nothing much is going on in March in New England. But when you get to April and May, we have kids sports, people going away, and other spring festivals. There's, spring is a very alive time in our local communities. People are training for marathons or going to beer gardens or going out to eat. But this can be part of that. This can give people a real excitement about getting outdoors and getting back into feeling part of their environment. And we try to involve students in this way. There's a lot of student energy in the spring, and public art, as I had mentioned, ends up being sort of a great emotional tie-in. Hopefully your community has an engaged public art element, but some public art you can really wing it. You don't have to make permanent public art. You can have fabulous interactive public art activities that are temporary. So I want to stop there and see if there are any questions or suggestions.
Great, thank you, Charlotte. So you can certainly put a question in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, you can ask a question of Charlotte. So are there any questions out there?
So Charlotte, this is Sharon. Question I have is when, certainly if it's a weekend event, that type of thing, but if it's a week event, what are the hours that you found the best to make sure that you can attract people?
Well, the nice thing about having a week with 2 weekends is that you get those weekend events on the edges, and we include things that we would otherwise hold anyway, but we just smush them in that concentrated time of the year. So, example, a Fix-It clinic can happen any time of the year, but that really needs a weekend 4-hour period of time. Some communities that have regular Fix-It clinics might be able to have one for 2 hours some evening on a weeknight. But like Lexington, I think has an ongoing Fix-It area in their library. But I think the advantage to hosting a week-long thing is that if you just have a 4-hour chunk on a Saturday for a one-day thing and someone's going away that weekend, they miss the whole thing. The idea with a week-long series is that you just plug things in a variety of different time slots, including right after school, at a school. For example, we're going to be engaging with after-school programs, offering them visitors from their municipal government employees to see if they'd like to host the animal control officer, for example, for a talk right after school during that week. But there are only 5 evenings if you take a week, 5 weeknight evenings, and then weekend days can be kind of jam-packed. But we've got some situations where we've got a litter cleanup happening at the same time as something else, and that's okay because some people don't want to pick up litter. And other people want to sit at home and have more of a hybrid experience. They might want to listen to a speaker.
So during the week, you only do it on the evenings or after school?
Or after school. We don't have anything in particular during the day, during the week. Okay. But it's certainly something we should think about. I think that if we were asked, I mean, certainly we've engaged with the Council on Aging in the past, for example, for people who are, not working full time anymore. That's a population we should definitely, be making sure that we interact with.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Janice?
Hi, do have pounding going on, so I'll try to make this quick. And in Arlington, how do you decide geographically? Because Arlington's got at least 4 sort of major centers. How is there anything strategic about where you cite different things so everybody gets access to it? Because I think you've got.
Mm-hmm. We have a main corridor through town, so right. we can concentrate on. We're also actually a very small community. It's pretty easy for everybody to get to the centers of town, but we generally are hosting activities in parks. So we're choosing one particular elementary school to host the Fix-It clinic, but at the same time we're going to be holding a clothing swap at that same location. So being able to hold something in the east part of town is great because often there are too many things that are held right in Arlington Center and not enough spread around through town. And then I think this year, but all years going forward, we will always have some virtual activities. So some speaker that people can just enjoy from the comfort of their living room. This year, we're going to be having a concert on Friday night, a musical concert. So, the variety is what's important and theoretically easy because I am scheduling my events. The planning department, 2 or 3 planners are scheduling their own planning events. So I also want to emphasize that this is intended to be, I would say, a lower lift for each of the people that are going to host something. The hard part is, the person who has to package everything and make sure that it gets on the town website, on the town calendar. Those are the pieces, that take the effort.
Very much.
Janet?
Hi. A couple questions. Did you involve any kind of private vendors, such as I don't know, EV sales or solar panels or something like that? And are you going to continue with the hybrid model?
So at EcoFest, we certainly did. We had a whole system where businesses could apply. We charged them a little bit of money, like they would be charged if they were coming to a farmer's market, for example. We set up tables all throughout town hall. Since we've left that town hall concentrated model, we have not necessarily involved businesses, again, it would be an organizing effort. If our town planner, who is the economic development planner, wanted to reach out to businesses, I think that it would certainly be in line with EcoFest. But as one of the main organizers, I'm really interested in all the waste and diversion and trash and park cleanup. I want to help and support all of that. The other planners that are involved this year are the planners who are involved with the vulnerability planning, the open space planning, the conservation planning of the community. And then the other planner is involved in all of our net zero action plan policy and our community aggregation, electricity aggregation, trying to encourage residents to opt up to sign up for 100% renewable electricity. That's our aggregated energy program. So it really, someone would have to step up to want to organize that. And that I think is it takes some personality of the committee to be able to commit to. But as long as everyone's in line with sort of, the nice thing about eco is it's it's very broad, it's environmental. But again, I also think that that's the way that we can pull people into wanting to participate. And it's a way, what I'm motivated and my colleagues are motivated because we have priorities that we want to get out. And if maybe the people who are the conservation commissioners or people who really care about planting native plants don't necessarily think about waste diversion or reuse, trying to get furniture donated. But if we can involve them in all of this, in all of EcoWeek, then they might rethink how these different activities are related. And they're hearing about opting up to community electricity. So anybody who's frustrated by not being able to do something now, they can do that. We give them small bits of action that are really very achievable. And in terms of hybrid, I think we will continue to do hybrid because there are always people who are at home who don't want to come out. There's always a rainy day. And again, we're really trying to build an inclusive definition of that everybody can do what they can, do what they care about, do what they're able to around not just climate change, vulnerability and resiliency, but also other environmental priorities like biodiversity and conservation of resources, which obviously in Petaluma, California, if we experienced the water shortage that they experience in California, that would be a really great organizing mechanism. Here in Arlington, we have a lot of flooding. So generally, activities are showing off how Arlington is controlling flooding is something that even if people don't attend, we get to say, hey, here are 3 tours that are available during EcoWeek. And it's important as the local government to offer tours and openness and transparency with where CPA money is going, taxpayer money is going, where kind of grants we're getting from other entities, state level. It's very important that we give the public an opportunity to come out to these things. So it really does serve the purpose of the employees to provide opportunities, and EcoWeek helps package that in a hopefully an attractive way. Any other questions? Are any of you running any kinds of events right now that you're thinking of expanding to be longer? Great. Well, I really do think that the volunteer energy out there that is demonstrated in this program today is just an unbelievable resource. And when you combine that with the priorities that already exist in your community, whether it's like I was said before, existing policy, like or programs that your municipal employees, they really need to have an outlet to advertise them, or things that people have a very difficult time understanding, like these stretch energy codes. It's really, most people don't even understand how that affects them. Yet there are still always going to be a handful of people that are going to be at your town meeting or your city council trying to stifle them and get them not passed because they don't like to be limited. so the more chances you have to give your municipal employees, I assume none of you are municipal employees, the more chance you can invite them to be part of a broader environmental outreach, I think you'll find they'll say yes. At least some of them will say yes.
So the
Charlotte,
one
I'll
thing-
just-
So
Go
the
ahead.
one thing I was going to say is that while we haven't done an event like that, we are developing our climate action plan and really need to work on engagement of the town. And so there are a lot of ideas, yours in particular and others that were in the other breakout groups, that I just find very valuable to sort of put in the mix of how we're going to do this. So thank you.
Great. Well, be in touch if you have any specific questions. And I know we have to probably leave now, Tom.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're just going to wrap up in another 30 seconds. So I'll just say again, it's Tom Abeck from Sustainable Arlington. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years on EcoWeek. It's been a great experience, a really wonderful networking opportunity among activists as well and the general public. And it's been phenomenal. Thank you for your time today. And I will stop the recording now.